Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the Chef Yusuf Show, another Ramadan special where we learn to cook the Islamic way. Today's meal is a special one because it could be used as a main course or it could be used as an appetizer. It's a dish known in Syria, in Jordan, in parts of the Gulf region. It's called uzi. Now what's so special about this meal is when we look at it, we can see some Indian influence and we can see some of the Chinese cuisine influence. And so it's an example how cultures and taste could influence one another, okay? Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with the ingredients. This meal is, I try to make it for 2 or maybe 3 people. And the beautiful thing about this meal, if you need to prepare it for more people, you can just add or double the quantity of these ingredients. So for that, we'll talk about the rice. It is 1 cup of rice, half a cup of corn, either the frozen one or the one in the can. We have carrots, half a cup, peas, some peas, also half a cup, and some of our protein. The protein, I did use half a pound of ground lamb. All right, so this is the basics. And the other thing that we need to look at is the spices. So we'll get into the spices in a moment. I just want to go ahead and start frying my meat. I have my skillet here, you know, on high heat. So we'll go ahead and fry that. And all right, so you did notice that I did not add any oil on the skillet. This is, you know, every time when we cook meat, because meat has its own fluids, its own oils, right? So we can go ahead and extract those oils from the meat itself. If you prefer to add oil, that is really your option. There is no rules in today's dish. All right, so now while I fry the meat, I want to talk about these spices. These spices, what you want to do, you want to go ahead and make some quantity of these spices and put them in a jar. They are basically a combination of cardamom, cinnamon, cloves, black pepper, bay leaf, maybe some cumin and a lot of allspice. You ground them together and put them in a jar, and this is what we're using for the uzi spices. You go ahead and write on the jar uzi spices. All right, the other thing I'm using to spice things up is 1 cube of chicken stock or chicken, or if you have the actual chicken broth, you can add that as well. All right, we'll go ahead and also add some salt on this. And when the meat is well cooked, we'll go ahead and remove it, put it in a plate, put it aside, because we're going to let it cool. Now with the same skillet, we'll go ahead and add some oil now. Why do we add oil? So because we want to fry these vegetables, peas, some carrots, and half a cup of corn. Again, what did I forgot? I forgot some of the uzi spices. We're gonna make sure we spice things up really well, okay? And go ahead and be more generous with the spices. You know, guys, I wanna tell you something. When I was in college, I used to be with roommates. There were Desi roommates from Pakistan and from India, and they used to tell me, you know, if you don't know how to cook, please don't cook. Don't waste our food, because every time I cook, it is uneatable because it's not spicy enough for them, right? So this dish, it's a dish that will. Yeah. So this dish is one of the dishes that they actually accepted and they liked, because, you know, it has so much spices and so much flavors to them. It's similar to the biryani that they eat. So we can see they are being fried. They're nice. As you can see, when they start getting a little bit brownish, we'll go ahead and add water on them. and we'll go ahead and add the water on them. You know, if you can taste it, go ahead and taste it. If it needs more spices, if it probably will need more salt, go ahead and add some salt, some more spices. And the magic cube also has a lot of salt in it, so keep that in mind also. When you put the magic cube, that's gonna salt things up a little bit more, so just be careful on what the amount of salt that you use. Now, when we make any rice dish, we always start with basmati rice. Though this is basmati rice for this dish specifically, right? Every time we do a basmati rice, we have to soak the rice at least 15 minutes, okay? Okay, so now when this start to boil, what we want to do, we want to let it simmer for like maybe 5 minutes. We're going to go ahead and remove and strain the vegetables and put them aside, and the water, we're going to use it to prepare the rice. Okay, so by now, if we didn't put the Maggi, we'll go ahead and add it now. There is a reason I don't like to add Maggi in the beginning, because it contains some starch. And what happened when you cook starch, the soup becomes thicker. And when you prepare rice, you don't want to have a thick soup, you want to have a clear soup. So this is why I recommend to have broth. But broth is not something you can find always. And you know, this chicken stock cube is always available for us any time of the day. Now I just want to mention one thing about the dish uzi. This dish is a dish that is known in occasions, a time either of celebration or a time where people gather either for a funeral or whatever occasion. But the unique thing about it is it's a food that you can prepare for a lot of people. That's the whole point. If you have an occasion where you have to invite a lot of people, this is the simplest thing you can do, because all you have to do is just increase the amount of vegetables or increase amount of rice, and there you can have more of this dish, right? So let's say if tomorrow you woke up and somebody told you there are 50 people coming to your house. What we're gonna do, we're gonna prepare a lot of rice. You know, these vegetables are frozen vegetables that we always can find in the freezer, right? The peas, the carrots, the corn, you know, we buy them as a frozen format, right? And the only exception is that we need to have some protein to go with this meal, because it's a whole meal, right? So keep that in mind, guys, when you wanna, if you had to prepare a meal real quickly, just keep that in mind. This is a perfect meal to prepare for a lot of people. All right, assalamu alaikum, welcome back. What we want to do, we're going to go ahead and start preparing the rice. First of all, we're going to go ahead and strain the water from the soaked rice. All right, after we remove the water, we add it. Okay, we'll add it in our rice cooker. Of course, what did we forget? We forget to spice it up a little bit. Now, most of this meal comes from the spices, by the way. So you really have to spice it, you know, really well, right? After we spice it, we're gonna go ahead and remove the vegetables and put them aside, right? And we're gonna use the water as a broth to prepare our rice. So now when we prepare the rice, we'll put the heat all the way up. We'll put the rice with the spices. So we take the soup moisture that we have and we want to add it to the rice. Now the ratio between the rice to make the perfect rice is 3-to-2 ratio, you know, 3 cups of water to 2 cups of rice, right? But through experience, you know that when you add the water on rice, you want to have it a few centimeters above the rice surface, and when it boils, when the rice becomes to be visible at top, you put the temperature all the way down and you allow the steam to cook the rice thoroughly while we cover the pot. And this is the time where we get our non-stick skillet and we go ahead and fry our almond. You know, our almond, when we fry them, what do we use? Do we use oil to fry them? No, of course not. We don't use oil. We fry them as is without any oil. So if we don't have almond, we can go ahead and put some pine nuts. Yeah, pine nuts. Who has pine nuts? You can put some peanuts. And the measurement was, of course, half a cup. When you fry walnuts, you make sure you go ahead and stirring them, because they do cook really quickly, and they tend to burn really quickly. All right. All right, so as we see, the almonds are becoming very light brown. What we're gonna go, we're gonna move the rice aside. I'm gonna take the almonds, I'm gonna put them aside. You gotta be really quick because it is extremely hot. So what do we do at this point? Do we mix everything together? Actually, what you wanna do is you wanna look at the meat, you wanna look at your vegetables. If they are undercooked, we're gonna go ahead and put them back. If they are undercooked, mine are cooked, but I'm just gonna show you anyways. So we'll go ahead and mix the vegetables and with the meat. Of course, what did we forget? We forget the spices. You gotta keep spicing this thing, you know. And this is where, you know, why I tell you, you know, the Desi community, the people from India and Pakistan, they really appreciate this Middle Eastern meal. A lot of the time they say, oh, you know, Arabic food is good, but you know, there's no spicy, you know. And sometimes when we eat their food, you know, we start reciting Surah Al-Lahab, Tabbat yada Abi Lahab, it's so spicy, you know. So this is a really well balanced meal between the Arab culture and the Desi culture. It is not too spicy for the Arabs, and it's just right for our brothers from Hindu Pak. So cook them if they need to be cooked. If they do not need to be cooked, then they should be fine. We'll go ahead and mix the rice with them. When you mix the rice with them, just keep one thing in mind. We don't want to squish the rice and make it mushy. We want to have fluffy rice, right? So try to do that. Try to have your rice fluffy. Usually what I do, I do it the opposite way. I put the vegetables on the deep pan, but because I want to show you as a presentation so you can see what I'm doing. Of course, you want to add some salt, pepper if they need it at this point. If you need to add more of these spices, go ahead and add them. But technically, this is how easy this dish is. I did time it from the beginning because the rice took some time. It took me actually in exactly an hour to be at this point. So this is an easy dish. It's usually made for like a large occasion when people are gathering, when people, especially at sudden or like you know, like something comes up, you want to make food for a lot of people. As you can see, the ingredients are ready in the freezer. All we need is just a protein and we're ready to go, like something like ground lamb. So this is how it is. So the almonds, we can add them on top of the plate. Now regarding the main entree dish, we can serve this as the main entree. We can put it in a rice as I'm gonna present to you. But what I want to show you also is I want to show you this dish could be also as an appetizer. What we need is some egg rolls, right? I don't have them with me right now, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna borrow some pictures from the internet and I'm gonna show you this nice website. What you do, this rice and meat and vegetable, it becomes the filling of basically an egg roll, and it's called an uzi. You put them in an egg roll and you put some nuts or pine nuts or some almond nuts on top of them. You put them in the oven so the egg roll becomes crisp, and there you can like serve it to individuals, right? You don't need a plate, so they can eat it as a patty, right? As a burger, right? So this is another way that we can see an influence from the Chinese culture, because it is similar to the egg roll and is very similar to the taste of the region of India and those region. I do guess that the location Syria was a location of trade, so this is where this influence came from. I'm gonna just put the last touches in the end. You probably know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get one of these nice plates, put some rice, but you don't want to push the rice down. You want to keep it as fluffy as you can. After you add the rice, you put the plate on top, you flip the plate, and there you can have a nice rice plate. You take the walnuts or pine nuts or almonds, you put them on top. Be careful, they are really hot, by the way. Put them on side. If you have any type of salad, vegetable, it goes really well with salads and vegetables. Go ahead and garnish them. And we know that the month of Ramadan is the most holy month of the Muslims, and it is an important month for us to be generous in this month, inshallah. So let's go ahead and invite our friends and neighbors. And I do wish that you enjoyed today's episode. Till next time, we'll see you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.